Now, here is an announcement for teachers. The BBC is anxious to receive teachers' views on programmes in the series which follow this announcement. If you would like to help us, we would be most grateful if you would ring support services on 01992 5522 or in Scotland 041 332 4028 or in Wales 0222 869 444, or write to Support Services, P.O. Box 7, London W3. Your help and advice will be most welcome.
What is advertising like this saying to us? The message is not simply buy me. It's less obvious and wittier than that. Many adverts deliberately try to be witty to make us think about what they're saying. We may even have to think quite hard to understand what the message is, because it's been so skillfully disguised. But if we're made to hunt around for the meaning, then the advertiser has gained our attention, and that's what advertising is all about. If it isn't noticed, it's failed. To catch our attention, advertisers use words and images to make us remember them. Sometimes the message needs to hit us harder, especially when our health is at stake. We may need to be shocked into recognizing the facts. Who works out the best way of putting a message across? That's usually the job of an advertising agency. This one has to think of a way of advertising orange juice on TV.
Just to recap on where we are today, we're talking about the orange juice market, and we're talking about these sorts of products, and in particular our brand, St Ivel Real Orange Juice. Our point really is that we want to tell people that this is the real McCoy, this is real orange juice, and we've got to somehow convey to people that that is the case, and to start raising doubts in their minds about what it is they're actually drinking, and start to get people looking at these labels and lists of contents.
What about taste difference? Is there any noticeable taste difference between the Libby's and the real?
Yes, I mean, they claim that Libby's is slightly sweeter, for example, is the most common claim.
But the fact that it's real and pure and the others aren't is important.
It comes out as being important.
So we ought to be telling them that it's real and pure.
And the reason we chose that brand name in the first place, if you remember, was that the whole language in this product sector has been devalued. The word pure, as we're just hearing, doesn't really have the meaning that it should have. That's why we're calling it real, because that's a different way of saying pure, which as yet isn't devalued. I mean, I just wrote down here in a paragraph, if you like, what we should be saying. It's what real orange juice from St Ivel hasn't got that makes it taste so good. No peel, no pith, no pips, no sweeteners, no preservatives, no additives at all. Just the juice, and juice sells for about 15 oranges.
They've decided on the message. It's now up to the creative people to think of an interesting way of communicating it.
Right, now this film's going to be a musical.
There are two teams working on scripts for a 30-second commercial. John Webster explains his ideas to an artist.
Featuring a little black boy and some animals coming over a hill singing a song about the orange juice. And the whole feeling of the thing should be really sunny and bright. The first frame, he'll come walking over the hill with a cat, a chicken and a crow, and the animals are all going to be puppets. So if you could draw those in a very puppet-like way, but keep him realistic. Second frame, we cut to the crow, who sings a line of the song, then the chicken, then the cat. And the cat's going to have a really deep voice, so if you could make him look a bit tough, a bit butch. Yeah.
Derek Haas is working on the second script. The message is the same, but the way of putting it over is different.
Going to promote this purity by having very warm animated orange trees. I think we want to open up on one, and he's a jolly little chap, giving him little eyes, you know, he's looking at us, and he's talking away. And I think his hand is up. You know, when you take an oath and you say, I swear, he swears that St Ivel orange juice is made from pure oranges and nothing but the oranges.
The artist starts the drawings for the first script. These will be filmed for a test commercial.
So the whole idea came up of using this song, and we thought, well, let's have a little boy singing it with some animals to give a kind of country, open-air freshness to it. So we thought it'd be nice to have a little black boy singing, like Huckleberry Finn, sort of overalls and a straw hat, with some animals behind him, all singing this song about I've got plenty of nothing, and write the words around that. So we came up with a song which goes something like this. The boy sings, it's got a whole load of nothing, and nothing's dandy for me. It's got no glutamates, got no saturates, got no pith or peel, just juice that's real. And the voiceover comes in the middle. St Ivel real orange juice contains absolutely nothing but the juice of about 15 selected oranges. I think it's trying to communicate two things, really. Firstly, St Ivel orange juice contains nothing else except the juice of oranges. But secondly, because of the style of the thing and the music and the sunshine and the little boy and the animals, it's very fresh and outdoors and sort of healthy feeling. And I think that's very much associated with orange juice. People like to feel when they're drinking orange juice that it's fresh, it's healthy, it wakes you up in the morning. And because of the sunshine and the little boy and the animals, it conveys all that.
The central idea of the second script is the orange tree or orange trees themselves, the people who actually produce the fruit that makes the juice. The centre of the idea is to have these trees actually swearing that it's the juice, the whole juice, and nothing but the juice. And what could be more convincing than the people who actually make the stuff telling you straight from the shoulder, arms upraised as if they're in the witness box, that that's all that's in it, not watered down, not sweetened up, not mucked about with in any way. And that seems a very charming idea, but also a very hard-hitting idea for putting the message across.
We have to create a different projection visually to arrest people in the middle of their fish fingers, and the kids reading their comics, and the mother with all her problems, the father with his problems. We have to stop them, entertain them, and make them aware, make our commercials stand out from other commercials in this area.
Both the test commercials are shown to groups of housewives in different parts of the country. Their comments could decide which story is picked for the final commercial. The song with the little black boy in it has been enjoyed, but quite a lot of people thought that the message was getting lost in the entertainment. The market researcher has to lead the discussion to find out how people are reacting.
I'd like you to give me your comments, whether you liked it or not, what it made you think and feel, and why it did that. Okay?
We, the workers of St. Ivel, do solemnly swear that St. Ivel real orange juice isn't watered down, or sweetened up, or mucked about with.
All you get in a carton of St. Ivel real orange juice is the juice of about 15 oranges. Nothing more, nothing less.
So it'll be as pure and delicious as the orange juice you'd squeeze yourself. So help us. Right, boys, all together.
St. Ivel real orange juice.
The juice, the whole juice, and nothing but the juice.
So what do you feel now about that product? What's your reaction to that?
I quite liked it. It reminded me of the butter advertisement. I didn't really like the trees. I think they could have made them look a bit better.
And St. Ivel is Devon. And I'll accept.
Why have they got this West Country accent?
I don't know, because it's St. Ivel that comes from Devon and not oranges, I'm afraid.
But Mary, you said before that with the other one you didn't notice what the product was until very much later on.
No, we're
You
thinking
were
back,
watching the
yeah.
pictures and
Yeah.
things so much.
Well, it was a happier picture, I think.
Uh-huh.
And I think if the product had been made clearer for me, I would have gone for that advert rather than this one. Although this one made the oranges come over more clearly.
It told you straight from the start what it was all about, whereas the other one, you know, it was a whole lot of nothing, a whole lot of this, a whole lot of that. And when it said the 15 oranges, I didn't believe it, but definitely they started off in this one by saying, you know, the 15 oranges was all that was in it.
So
The second one was clearer.
the second one was clearer. Although
It's
there
very
are some
clear.
of you who liked the first one better. You liked the first one.
I liked it because it was happy and gay, whereas all the trees I found were a bit too solemn. Well, solemn was what they said.
For the teams who have worked on the two scripts, this is always a rather nervous time. How have the test commercials been received by the people they're trying to persuade?
As you can see, though, there are differences between the two of them, and the Plenty of Nut in one was more entertaining, and the indications were that people almost weren't hearing the message because it was so entertaining. With the trees, however, they see the orange trees swearing this oath of purity, and they understood that quite clearly, and they get the message much more clearly from that, such that they believe that our product is pure.
Yes, I think the fact that the trees do seem to have this authority, this almost, as someone said, Boy Scout,
That's right.
you know, Cubs honour sort of thing. I think that's really what gives that idea its strength. I agree, there's nothing wrong with entertainment. I mean, certainly we want both of either film, whichever we use, to be entertaining. But I think the question is to actually get our message across, our strategy across, i.e. of a pure product.
The agency has to get a final decision from the company that's paying for the commercial. Unigate's marketing directors have seen both test commercials and have heard about the viewers' reactions. So now they must decide. Which is it to be? Orange trees or the song with the little black boy?
The tree one, I think, does convey the message much more clearly. And the other one just is very appealing.
I would certainly go for the tree one because it gave me the message more. And it's answering the question that I always like to ask you people. And I always say, why should you buy? Why should I buy? Tell me why I should buy. In your advertisement for me. And you do.
The script for Orange Trees is chosen, but the trees will be changed to look more like Spanish trees. Many housewives had said that the trees looked too British. That's one way of selling a product. But what if the advertising is trying to persuade people to take better care of themselves, like women having babies? Women having babies are themselves to be the subject of an advertising campaign, in the press and on television. The aim is to persuade pregnant women to go to an antenatal clinic and get expert medical attention.
Morning. Morning. How are you? Not long now.
Most women have perfectly normal births, and most babies are born healthy. But unfortunately, a few newborn babies die. And some of these deaths could be prevented given the right treatment during pregnancy. How do you put a message like that across to women who are not aware of the need for regular checkups? The Health Education Council must find a way of doing it. Freddie Lawrence explains the seriousness of their message to an advertising agency.
That is that the baby is dying at birth or in the first week of life. Our job, as usual, is to carry out some educational publicity. That one all-important message seems to come through, and that is attend the antenatal clinic early and regularly. And this, we think, should be our primary message.
There are 600,000 births every year in this country, with about 10,000 deaths. I think this means, of course, that this is 17 out of every 1,000 women. So, you know, it's relatively uncommon, it's getting less, and we don't want a gloom and doom campaign.
Right. I understand that. It's a very sensitive area. It's a very important and emotional...
The advertising agency is aware of the problems in dealing with a delicate subject like having a baby. They want to make a persuasive commercial, but they have to avoid being overdramatic.
We shouldn't use any scare tactics.
The creative team at the agency now have to think of a way of influencing people's attitudes without being too heavy.
So what we've got to do is a 30-second TV commercial talking to these mothers-to-be.
Yeah.
How are we going to do it?
They have to think up a storyline which will put over the need for expert medical advice during pregnancy, and at the same time hold the interest of the viewer. They may try dozens of different ideas before they start to work seriously on one or two of them.
This time, because I know it all now.
One device we could take would be like having a baby inside a mum.
Yeah.
Taking the point that if your baby knew about what was going on, it would tell you to do something. Take advice from your babies.
Capitalise on the concern that they already feel.
They would, yeah.
For the baby.
You could actually have the baby talking to the mum in some way. I'm not quite sure.
Hi, Mum. Yeah.
I'm not quite sure how you'd actually show.
Open on mother at sink, washing up the dishes, and suddenly there's this voice off.
A second treatment could be something to do with, I don't know, it does, all those old wives' tales associated with having babies. One could sort of encapsulate a whole lot of those and almost make the humour out of it.
Some of these ideas seem a lively and imaginative way of putting the message across. But the Health Education Council want it to be very positive. So, what about featuring a doctor, a midwife and a nurse, but at first disguising their identity to keep the viewers guessing?
Supposing you take this 20-year-old woman, and it's her first baby. She's never had a baby before, she's nervous about it, and she needs the comfort and reassurance that everything's okay from people who she could trust because they know about babies. Now, who she trusts are people who've had lots of babies. Right, her own mum, who's maybe had several, a friend who's had a few. But the people who had the most babies, in one sense, are the people at the clinic. I mean, if you go to the midwife at the clinic has delivered hundreds of babies. The doctor has delivered hundreds of babies. They know more about having babies than any individual mum does. So, by going to the clinic, you can capitalise on the knowledge and experience of people who've had quite ludicrous numbers of babies. I mean, if you take a picture of a midwife, I mean, not addressed as a midwife.
I'm just walking down the street.
Just a midwife, just a woman, a pleasant 40-year-old woman walking down the street, perfectly normal-looking woman. And the voiceover says, this woman has had 343 babies. Shh, immediately you've got impact. People sitting up and taking notice. A woman who's had 343 babies. And she looks perfectly like you and me, you know. And then you pick up the doctor getting out of his car or whatever. He's had 160 babies. The young nurse, she's only a nurse. She's only had 54, mere nothing, you know. You've got a lot of interest going for you.
before you, and then you get inside the clinic. You reveal that they're who they really are.
By putting on white clothes.
But at that time, you've already made your point about the fact that these people are tremendously experienced, knowledgeable people.
Once established in 5 seconds that this is the place to go for
this is the place to go for the real expertise.
For real expertise, much more than Mrs. Jones, who's probably had 3 babies.
So supposing we followed this woman all the way through her pregnancy, supposing we end up with the moment of birth, which is big and dramatic, right, memorable. We don't actually see the baby being born, but we see the look of relief on the mother's face, and we hear off-screen the baby's first cry, all right? And then we cut to this nurse, who was the person that we saw. We had, this woman has had 97 babies. And we now cut to her at the end, and we see her as being one of the team delivered the baby. She turns to the midwife, and she says, 98, all pleased with herself, you know. Notched up another one.
Orange juice and medical care are very different subjects, but the technique of advertising is the same: to communicate to us a message we cannot ignore. How successful will this one be?
This woman's had 97 babies. Her friend's had so many she's lost count. And this man's had hundreds of babies and is still as trim as ever. This woman never had a baby in her life, but she's glad the other 3 have. As soon as you suspect you're pregnant, see your doctor and he'll send you to the clinic. They can make your pregnancy happier and healthier for both of you.